Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, we will see two-tier architecture. In previous video, you have already seen why do we move for cloud from on-premise instead of on-premise, why do we go for cloud? We have already seen it in previous video, and even you have a knowledge on what is client and what is server and what is client server architectures, how many types are there. Among them, one tier architecture, you have a good understanding about it. So in this video, let us see about two tier architecture. So in this two tier architecture, how many layers are there, sir? In this two tier architecture, how many layers are there? This two tier architecture contains mainly two layers. How many layers, sir? Just two layers. This is one layer, let us say, and this is another layer. Okay. So what is this first layer, sir? What is this layer? This layer is a client layer. This layer is a client layer. So what about the other layer, sir? What about the other layer? The other layer is server layer. The other layer is what? Server layer. So what does this server layer? Can you tell me, sir? Do we have any responsibility towards the client layer? No, right? Client will maintain his own laptop. He will be responsible for his layer. Now, what about server layer, sir? What does this server layer contains? The server layer consists of, so first thing, hardware. So the server layer consists of bottom, it has the server layer machine consists of, at bottom it has some hardware. Yeah. On top of it, what does it have, sir? On top of hardware layer, it also has an operating system. We can even simply say it as OS. So this consists of hardware as well as operating system as well. On top of operating system, it also have application. What are the application that server is hosted? That application must be present on top of the operating system, right? Yeah. These are the things which are present in the server layer, and client layer will be responsible by the client. We are not responsible for the client layer. So now this is the two-tier architecture. How many layers we have? Client layer as well as server layer. Coming to this, so what about the database, sir? Every application consists of its own database, right? So its own database. So additional to application, in addition to application, database layer also present in the same machine. In addition to application, database layer is also present in the same machine. Where server is hosted in the same machine, both application and database layer is present in two-tier architecture. So let us say you are a developer. You developed a application and hosted in a server where it contains application as well as database. Let us say my server is allocated. I allocated a RAM of 4 GB RAM. You can say allocated 4 GB RAM to my server, and I allocated CPUs, that is, let us say 2 CPUs allocated. So this application shares a bit of RAM and a bit of CPU for this application. And similarly, this database shares whatever the left amount of CPU as well as RAM will be shared by the database. And the machine will be running. This machine will be sharing the resource in this way. where application shares some data as well as database also holds some capacity of RAM as well as CPU resources. Okay, let us say now a user, some clients are hitting the server. Let's say some clients, some clients are hitting the server. Some clients are hitting the server. So what happens, sir? What happens is, so based on the RAM and our CPU, our application will respond to the client. So our application will first communicate with the database, whatever present, and then which retrieves the response from the database to the application layer, and then from the application layer, it just sends the response to the client. So who is client, sir? Client is nothing but who requests the response, who requests. So now client requests for a response. Then what happens? The request got sent to my server and then it was taken by my application layer. And then for processing, it requires some data, right? So that data is present in the database. So application layer again need to communicate with the database. So it will again communicate with the database and the database will provide the information whatever the application layer will require, and then application layer again process and then provides the response back to the client. So in this way they communicate with each other. Client and server will communicate with each other. Now what happens is, I have not a single client, I have multiple clients. I have, let's say, multiple clients are trying to connect to my server. So let's say multiple clients are trying to connect to my server. At this case, what happens? At this case, what happens? Same, multiple requests got hit to my application and multiple requests got hit to my database. Then what happens is, my machine got confused. How much RAM do I allocate to my application and how much CPU do I allocate to my database? So this is one confusion happens to the machine. And another thing is due to multiple requests, due to multiple requests, mm, what happens? My machine was able to respond for that. Since it is having only 4 GB RAM and only 2 CPUs, my machine was unable to respond to my client. So my machine was unable to respond to my clients. So now let us have a question. Since it is unable to responding to clients, is it good to host? Is it good to use for production environment? Is it good to use for production environment? No, right? Because it is unable to process multiple clients requests. Since it is unable to process multiple clients requests, this two-tier architecture is not suitable, for production, is not suitable for production environment. So this architecture is not suitable for production environment. Okay. Now my question is, so sir, can I separately host my application in different server? Let us say if I assume I want to host my application in different server and I want to host my application in different server, my database in another server, is it good to, is it sufficient for production server, production environment? Yes. So sir, you told me that single tier architecture is not suitable for production environment, as well as this two tier architecture is also not supporting for my production environment. Then you can tell me which tier architecture is supporting my production environment. three-tier architecture is well suited for production environment. So, sir, can you tell me, do I use this two-tier architecture? Do I use this two-tier architecture for, let's say, building? That means developing developing my website, or else you can say application. Yeah, it is suitable for developing as well as testing as well. So for developing and testing small scale applications, this two-tier architecture is sufficient to us. Even for very less number of clients, this two-tier architecture is suitable for production, but actually it is not recommended to use for production, because both the database as well as application layer present in the same both database as well as application present in the same layer, that is server layer. So that's why it is not suitable for our production environment, because whenever we hit multiple clients hits the same server, then what does it leads to, sir? Then it leads to, when multiple clients hits the same server, then it leads to server machine slow down. Then it leads to server machine slow down, or else you can say hang. Sometimes the server machine also becomes hangs, and sometimes it also crashes. Sometimes the server machine also gets crashes. So what does it leads to, sir? So crashes, and it causes my application downtime as well, and my application becomes unavailable. So my application becomes unavailable at these times. So that's why we prefer not to use this two-tier architecture for what production environment. So I hope you understood why do we do not prefer this two-tier architecture for our production environment. Since there are two layers, that is client and server, we say this is a two-tier architecture. Even though it having two layers, both database and application layer present in same machine. So that's why it is not supporting me for production environment. Even we can use this for developing as well as testing of small scale applications. If I try to use it for production environment, which leads to slow down my machine and hangs and crash downs, and which leads to downtime as well as unavailability of my machine, and which even leads to unsatisfactory and reduce my business. So that's why I would like to prefer three-tier architecture for my production environment. So what does this application layer consist of, sir? This application layer consists of business logic, whereas this database layer consists of my client data for for future use. This is all about two-tier architecture. So in the next video, let us see how three-tier architecture will be and what are the layers it consists of, and for which environment it is suitable also we can see in the next video. I hope this video is understanding to you. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. See you back in the next video. Thanks for watching.